Eli lived a quiet life on the colony of New Horizon, a human settlement on a distant planet. The colony was small but advanced, with silver-domed buildings and sleek vehicles that hovered just above the ground. Most humans in New Horizon were engineers, scientists, or explorers. Eli, however, preferred a simpler life. He repaired old machines and gadgets, fixing things that others had discarded. The hum of machinery and the smell of warm metal were his companions. Life on New Horizon was peaceful, almost too peaceful. Most evenings, Eli would sit by his small window, watching the twin moons rise over the jagged mountains in the distance. He enjoyed the silence, interrupted only by the soft breeze that moved through the colony's artificial gardens. But tonight, the peace was broken. A knock sounded at Eli's door. It was soft but deliberate. Eli frowned. Visitors were rare, especially at this hour. He wiped his hands on his work apron and walked to the door. When he opened it, he froze. Standing there was Liara, the widow from the settlement next to his. She was an alien, but unlike any species Eli had seen before. Her skin shimmered faintly in the moonlight, a soft shade of silver with hints of lavender. Her eyes were large and deep, reflecting the light like twin stars. She wore a long, flowing garment that seemed alive, moving slightly even though there was no wind, and in her hands she held a small device that glowed faintly with a pulsing blue light. "Eli," she said, her voice soft but urgent, "I need your help." Eli blinked. He wasn't sure whether to step back or invite her in. "Liara, it's late. What are you doing here?" She hesitated for a moment, as if weighing her words carefully. "I can't explain everything at once, but what I have to show you? It's important. It's about my late husband's work. It could change everything." Eli's curiosity was piqued. He knew Liara had been mourning her husband for weeks. He had seen her sometimes sitting alone by the edge of the settlement, staring at the sky. But he had never expected her to come knocking at his door asking for help. "Come in," he said, finally stepping aside. "We can talk inside." Liara entered carefully, her movements graceful and deliberate. Eli noticed the sadness in her eyes, but also a spark of determination he hadn't seen before. She placed the glowing device on Eli's workbench. "This," she said, pointing to the device, "was part of my husband's research. He was working on something dangerous if it falls into the wrong hands. I don't understand it fully, but I believe you can." Eli raised an eyebrow. "Me? I'm just a mechanic. I fix machines. I don't deal with alien tech, especially not glowing mysterious devices." Liara shook her head gently. "That is exactly why you are the right person. Humans, you think differently. You solve problems in ways we can't. Your creativity, your intuition, it might be the only thing that can stop what's coming." Eli studied the device. It was small, round, and smooth, with lines of light running across its surface like veins. When he touched it, he felt a faint vibration, almost like it was alive. "What is it?" he asked. Liara's lips pressed together. "I don't know, not fully. But I know it is powerful. And some of my people, some of them want to use it. For control, for power. My husband would never have wanted that. I need you to help me make sure it doesn't happen." Eli felt a chill. The idea of helping an alien prevent a disaster on his planet, or even beyond, was both terrifying and exciting. He had always dreamed of adventure, of being part of something bigger than the routine of repairing broken machines. But now, standing in front of him was the opportunity he had never expected. "Why me?" he asked again. "Because," Liara said, her voice steady, "you are human. You think differently. You are clever. You care about life in ways my people sometimes forget. And because you have the courage to do what others won't." Eli looked into her eyes. He saw the sincerity there. She wasn't exaggerating or trying to scare him. She was desperate, but honest. And strangely, he felt drawn to help her. "All right," he said finally. "I'll help you, but I'll need time to understand this device." Liara's face softened. That is all I ask. Time and your mind. They spent the next hour in Eli's workshop. Liara explained what little she knew about the device, how it had been part of her husband's larger project, and how a small faction of her people intended to misuse it. Eli listened carefully, asking questions, taking notes, and examining the device. He discovered that it responded to energy and thought patterns, almost like it could read intentions. It was delicate, complex, and unlike anything he had worked on before. But Eli had never been one to give up on a challenge. His hands moved quickly, adjusting, testing, and probing. As he worked, Liara watched him with a mixture of hope and relief. She realized that in this human, she might find not just help, but a true ally. Someone who could do what she could not. The night deepened outside, and the colony became quieter. Lights in distant buildings blinked softly, and the wind whispered through the valley. Inside Eli's workshop, the glow from the device illuminated the two of them, casting long shadows across the walls. For Eli, it felt like the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where humans and aliens might work together to face dangers beyond their imagination. Finally, Eli leaned back and wiped his hands. I think I understand a little more now. This device, it's not just a machine, it's complicated, but I think I can help you. Liara nodded, a small smile forming on her lips. Thank you, Eli. I know this is strange, but I believe we can do this together. Eli looked at her, noticing the quiet strength she carried even in her grief. He realized that courage came in many forms, not just from action, but from survival, from facing loss and continuing on. And in Liara, he saw a courage that inspired him. Where do we start? He asked. Liara paused. We need to understand how it works. Then we need to make sure no one can misuse it. And Eli, we must move carefully. Time is short, and there are those who would stop us. Eli nodded. Then let's get started. Whatever it takes. For the first time in a long while, Eli felt a spark of excitement. This was bigger than any machine he had ever repaired. This was a mission that could change lives, human and alien alike. And as he looked at Liara, he knew that together, they might just succeed where others would fail. Outside, the twin moons rose higher in the sky, casting silver light over the colony. Inside, two unlikely allies prepared for a journey that would test their skills, their courage, and their understanding of each other. Eli didn't know what the future held, but he felt ready, and for the first time, he believed that humans could stand alongside aliens, not as equals by chance, but by choice, by ingenuity, and by heart. And so, with a glowing device on his workbench and an alien widow at his side, Eli's quiet life came to an end. What began as a simple knock on the door had turned into the first step of an adventure that would take him farther than he had ever imagined. The night was quiet again, but only for a moment. Outside, shadows shifted. Somewhere, beyond the hills, and the lights of New Horizon, danger was stirring. And Eli, unknowingly, had just stepped into the middle of it. The next morning, the colony of New Horizon woke to pale sunlight spilling over its silver-domed buildings. Eli had barely slept, turning over the events of the previous night in his mind. The glowing device still rested on his workbench faintly, pulsing with its mysterious light. He couldn't stop thinking about Liara's words. Your creativity, your intuition, it might be the only thing that can stop what's coming. Eli wasn't a hero. He didn't command armies or explore uncharted planets. But he knew he had problem-solving skills, and he had always enjoyed challenges. Somehow, that seemed enough for Liara. When she arrived that morning, Eli was already at his bench, examining the device with a careful touch. Liara's presence was calming, though there was a tension in her eyes that Eli hadn't noticed before. Good morning, Eli said, trying to sound casual. I didn't sleep much. I kept thinking about your device and your husband's work. Liara gave a small nod. I'm glad you stayed awake. Time is precious, Eli. The longer we wait, the harder this will become. There are those who already know about the device. They want it, not for exploration, not for study, but for control. Eli frowned. Control? Over what? Liara's gaze drifted to the glowing device. Not just your settlement, not just humans. My late husband's invention has the potential to influence entire systems. If it falls into the wrong hands, it could bring suffering to many, both alien and human. Eli swallowed hard. The stakes were higher than he had imagined. He had thought this might be a difficult repair project, a puzzle to solve. Now, it was something far bigger, something that could affect life on a massive scale. Liara continued, her voice steady but urgent. I need your help because humans think differently. We have intelligence, yes, but sometimes we see solutions as rules or patterns. You see possibilities, Eli. You see what is outside the lines, and that is exactly what we need. Eli looked at her, feeling both nervous and excited. So, you're saying this device, whatever it does, you want me to figure out how it works and make sure it doesn't get misused? Liara nodded. Exactly, and there's more. I can't do this alone. My people, some of them are loyal, but others are not. Some believe the device should be used to expand power, to control others. I need someone who can think without prejudice, someone who will act wisely. And you, Eli, are that person. Eli took a deep breath. His mind raced. He had always wanted to be part of something important, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. Helping Liara meant stepping into a world of alien technology, political tension, and unknown dangers. I'll do it, Eli said finally. But I need to understand it first. I need to know what I'm working with. Liara's eyes softened, relief washing over her face. I cannot ask more than that. Study it, learn it, and together we will protect it. For the next few hours they worked side by side. Eli examined the device, tracing the smooth lines with his fingers, noting how the light changed as he moved. Liara explained what she knew. The device could interact with energy fields, it could sense intent, and it responded to thought patterns. This is beyond anything humans have built, Eli said, fascinated. It's alive, in a way. In a sense, Liara replied, but it is guided by reason. My husband always believed intelligence could be taught to machines, but only if the right mind guided them. Eli nodded slowly. He could see the brilliance of the design, but also the danger. In the wrong hands, this device could be devastating, and he understood why Liara had come to him. His perspective was human, unique, and free from alien constraints. As they worked, Liara told Eli more about her husband. He had been a brilliant scientist, dedicated to peace and understanding. But not everyone shared his vision. Some believed his work should be used for dominance. Liara had tried to stop them, but her people were divided, and she feared the rogue faction would succeed if they were not careful. Eli felt a mix of admiration and determination. He didn't know if he could fully grasp the alien technology, but he could try, and he could try hard. I need to know more about these people who might misuse the device, Eli said. How many are there? How dangerous are they? Liara hesitated. I do not know exact numbers. They are secretive. But they are clever and they are willing to take risks. They already have resources and connections that could make them difficult to stop. That is why your perspective is so important. You might see a way others cannot. Eli nodded. Then we start with understanding the device. Then we figure out how to protect it. Liara smiled faintly. Yes, that is the plan. Over the next few days, their partnership deepened. Eli worked tirelessly, learning to interpret the device's signals, understanding the subtle patterns in its light and vibration. Liara guided him, sharing insights about the alien science she had inherited from her husband. They communicated in a mixture of human and alien gestures, learning from each other. Eli admired Liara's intelligence and patience, and she, in turn, was impressed by his adaptability and persistence. Together they made progress that neither could have achieved alone. One afternoon, as the twin suns began to dip behind the mountains, Eli paused and looked at Liara. You know, he said, I didn't think my life would ever involve alien technology or saving the galaxy, but somehow this feels right. Liara's eyes reflected the fading sunlight. It is right because it is necessary, and you, Eli, are exactly the person to make it happen. Humans have a way of seeing solutions where others see only obstacles. Eli smiled. Well, let's hope I don't break it before we figure it out. Liara chuckled softly. Even if you do, we will find another way. That is the strength of working together. That evening, after hours of study, Eli leaned back in his chair. The device lay on the workbench, its faint glow illuminating the workshop. He felt a sense of accomplishment, but also a growing sense of responsibility. This was no longer just a mechanical puzzle. It was a mission with consequences far beyond his understanding. Liara watched him silently. There is something else, Eli, she said finally. My husband. He left instructions. Hidden messages within the device. I have not been able to decode them, but I believe they hold the key to protecting it. And I think you might be able to understand them. Eli's curiosity flared. Hidden messages, like secret codes? Yes, Liara replied. Messages meant only for someone capable of thinking beyond the ordinary, for someone like you. Eli felt a thrill of excitement. He had always enjoyed puzzles, but this was unlike anything he had faced before, and yet somehow he knew he was ready. The two of them spent the next few hours examining the device, experimenting with sequences and gestures, trying to unlock its secrets. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. Eli realized that the device responded not just to logic, but to intuition, to insight, and even to moral choice. It was almost as if it could sense the integrity of the user. This is incredible, Eli whispered. It's not just a machine. It's alive in a way I can't describe, and it's choosing how to respond to us. Liara nodded. Yes, that is why it must be protected. It will not serve someone with greed or malice. Only those with clear intent, courage, and wisdom can use it safely. And that is why we need you. Eli looked at her, feeling the weight of responsibility but also a strange sense of purpose. He had never felt more alive. For the first time he realized that humans truly had something unique to offer the universe. Their creativity, their courage, and their determination could make a difference, sometimes in ways no one could predict. As the suns disappeared behind the mountains, Eli and Liara prepared to take the next step. They had learned much, but there was still more to understand. And beyond the walls of the workshop, in the shadows of the colony, forces were already moving, forces that would not hesitate to seize the device for their own ends. Eli tightened his grip on the glowing machine. He didn't know what challenges awaited them, but he knew one thing. Humans could rise to any occasion, and he was ready to prove it. Liara placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Together, Eli, we will succeed, and your people will see what humans can truly achieve when they are brave and wise. Eli smiled, a mixture of nervousness and determination. Then let's make sure they see it. The night fell over New Horizon, peaceful on the surface, but electric with the promise of adventure. And for Eli, the quiet life he had once known was gone forever. The mission had begun and the galaxy had just become a little smaller and a little more human. The following morning, Eli and Liara set out together. Their mission was clear: understand the device fully, unlock its hidden messages, and prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. But as soon as they stepped outside, Eli realized this task would be far more complicated than he had imagined. The colony of New Horizon was quiet, but beyond its boundaries lay rocky plains and jagged mountains. It was the perfect place for secret work, remote enough that few would notice, but also harsh enough to challenge anyone unprepared. Eli adjusted his tool belt and glanced at Liara. Ready? He asked. Liara nodded. Ready. But we must move carefully. Others might already be searching for the device. They walked to a hidden cave in the mountains where Liara's husband had conducted his experiments. The cave was lined with alien symbols etched into the walls. Inside, faint blue light glowed from small energy panels embedded in the rock. Air hummed slightly like the cave itself was alive. Eli set down the device and began examining it again. Liara hovered nearby, watching his every move, offering advice when he asked. "See these patterns?" she said, pointing to the device's surface. "They respond to thought, intention, and emotion. You must remain focused. Any distraction can cause it to shut down or give false readings." Eli nodded, feeling a thrill of both excitement and nervousness. His fingers traced the glowing lines carefully. Slowly, he noticed a pattern emerging, almost like the device was guiding him toward understanding. Hours passed as they worked. Eli tested sequences of energy pulses, gestures, and combinations of both. Liara suggested subtle adjustments, and together they began to decipher fragments of the hidden message. "This is incredible," Eli whispered. "It's almost like it wants us to succeed, like it trusts us." Liara's eyes reflected the faint glow. "Yes, my husband believed that intelligence, whether human or alien, could be recognized. That is why he designed it this way. Only those with clarity and good intent can unlock its full potential." But their work was interrupted. A sudden tremor shook the cave, and Eli stumbled. Outside, the sky had darkened with swirling clouds. Unusual for this region. Liara's ears twitched slightly, a sign of unease. "Something is coming," she said softly. "We are not alone." Eli's heart raced. He had expected challenges in understanding the device, but not this. He grabbed the device, ready to protect it. Through the cave entrance, shadows moved across the rocky plains. Figures approached, moving swiftly and silently. Liara's gaze sharpened. "Those are the ones who want the device," she said. "They've tracked us here." Eli's mind worked quickly. "We need to hide it. Now." Using quick thinking, Eli activated a hidden compartment in the device's base. The device folded slightly, its light dimming, making it look like a simple tool. Liara helped him cover it with rocks and debris. The shadowy figures entered the cave, scanning the walls and floor. They were alien, like Liara, but taller, more angular, and moving with dangerous precision. Eli could feel the tension in the air, a mixture of fear and adrenaline. One of the intruders spoke in a harsh alien tone. Liara shook her head. "They do not know the device is here. We must remain calm. Do not let them sense fear." Eli stayed still, listening. The intruders examined the cave, their footsteps echoing ominously. Time felt suspended, every second stretching. Finally, after what seemed like hours, they left, moving back into the night. Liara exhaled slowly. That was close. Too close. Eli nodded, his hands trembling slightly. "We need better protection. If they come back, we won't be ready." Over the next few days, they worked tirelessly, not only decoding the device but also developing strategies to protect it. Eli's human ingenuity came to the forefront. He created small, clever traps and diversions that could confuse anyone who tried to follow them. Liara taught him alien defensive techniques, combining their skills to safeguard the device. In the evenings, they would sit by a small fire, exhausted but focused. Liara shared stories of her husband, of the research he had devoted his life to, and the hopes he had for peace between humans and aliens. Eli listened, inspired by the dedication and vision behind the work. One night, as the twin moons cast silver light over the cave entrance, Eli looked at Liara. "I never realized humans could work so closely with alien technology. I always thought we were behind, somehow. But now I see we're different, and that difference matters." Liara smiled faintly. "Yes, your creativity, your courage, and your adaptability are what make humans unique. You can find solutions when others see only obstacles. That is why I sought you out, Eli." Eli felt a sense of pride mixed with determination. He wasn't doing this for glory or recognition. He was doing it because it was right, because protecting the device and understanding it could save countless lives. The following day, they tested a new approach to decoding the device. Eli's method relied on improvisation, trying combinations based on intuition rather than strict logic. To Liara's surprise, it worked. A panel on the device shifted, revealing a small holographic map. "This is a location," Liara said, awe in her voice. "My husband hid part of the instructions there. It is the next key to understanding the full message." Eli studied the map. It showed a remote location in the mountains, far from the colony, marked with a symbol he didn't too recognize. "Looks like we have to go there," he said. "Yes," Liara replied, "but we must be careful. If the others discover this location before us, it could be catastrophic." They packed supplies and prepared for the journey. Eli carried the device carefully, keeping it hidden under a reinforced case. Liara guided him through narrow paths, rocky cliffs, and hidden trails known only to her. Along the way, Eli's mind never stopped working. He noted patterns in the terrain, calculated the safest routes, and considered potential dangers. Liara observed, impressed by his strategic thinking. After several hours of travel, they reached a secluded plateau overlooking a vast canyon. In the center, a small structure glimmered faintly under the twin moons. Eli recognized it immediately as the place marked on the device's map. "This must be it," he said. "Whatever your husband left here, it's waiting for us." Liara nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "We must proceed carefully. The structure may have protections, traps, or tests. My husband always believed that understanding should be earned." Together, they approached the structure. It was made of a material neither entirely metal nor entirely stone, smooth and flowing, almost organic in appearance. Symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly in response to their proximity. Eli extended a hand, feeling the warmth and subtle vibration of the material. The structure seemed almost alive, responding to his touch. Liara whispered instructions, guiding him through patterns and gestures, teaching him how to interact with the alien technology. After careful work, a panel opened, revealing a holographic interface. The device Eli carried reacted immediately, projecting additional instructions and messages. Step by step, they began to unlock the secrets hidden within. Hours passed, and progress was steady. Eli marveled at the intelligence behind the design. It was a combination of logic, intuition, and morality, something that challenged both human and alien minds. As night deepened, Eli paused and looked at Liara. "I understand now," he said quietly. "This is more than technology. It's a test of character, of creativity, and of courage, and we're passing it together." Liara's eyes reflected pride and hope. "Yes, Eli. Together we are proving that humans and aliens can achieve more than either could alone. And that is exactly what my husband wanted, to show that cooperation, understanding, and courage can overcome any challenge." They worked until the first light of dawn, unlocking a significant portion of the device's message. It revealed not only instructions for safe use, but also warnings about those who sought power. Eli realized the stakes were even higher than he had thought. Protecting the device was not just about safety, it was about survival for many, human and alien alike. Finally, exhausted but determined, they paused. Eli looked at the glowing device, now partially decoded, and then at Liara. "We've come this far, but I know this is just the beginning." Liara nodded. "Yes, there is more to learn, more to protect, and the next phase may be the most dangerous yet. But I have faith in you, Eli. You have shown courage, intelligence, and heart. That is what humans are capable of, more than you may even realize." Eli smiled faintly, feeling a new sense of purpose. He had stepped out of his quiet life and into something extraordinary. And though the challenges ahead would test him in ways he could not yet imagine, he knew one thing: humans could rise to any occasion, and he was ready to face whatever came next. The plateau glimmered under the rising suns, quiet for now, but electric with anticipation. And Eli, carrying both responsibility and hope, prepared for the next step in their mission, a mission that would test every skill, every intuition, and every ounce of courage he possessed. The plateau was quiet, but Eli felt a tension in the air that made his skin prickle. He had learned much about the device, deciphered part of the hidden message, and understood the stakes, but nothing could prepare him for what was coming. Liara's eyes scanned the horizon. "They are close," she said softly. "The rogue faction. They have tracked us here." Eli tightened his grip on the device. He could see shadows moving across the rocky plains below. A small group of tall, angular figures, their eyes glowing faintly. These were no ordinary intruders. They were Liara's people, but loyal only to their own ambition. They wanted the device for power, not protection. "We need a plan," Eli said. "We can't let them reach the structure. Not now." Liara nodded. "Follow my lead. We will use the environment to our advantage. The terrain here is familiar to me. And remember, Eli, your thinking may be what saves us." Together they moved quickly. Eli scanned the plateau, noting every ridge, every shadow, every possible path. He spotted a narrow ridge that overlooked the path the intruders were taking. "If we can create a diversion here, we might slow them down," he suggested. Liara smiled faintly. "Good thinking. Let us prepare." Eli gathered some loose rocks and energy tools, arranging them so that when triggered they would create a small but distracting explosion. Liara whispered a command and the devices activated, sending flashes of light and noise across the plains. The rogue faction paused, uncertain, giving Eli and Liara the chance to move closer to the structure. Eli's heart pounded. This was the first time he was using his ingenuity not just to solve a puzzle but to protect lives. And he realized something important. Humans had a unique ability to improvise, to think quickly, and to act decisively. They reached the structure safely, but the danger was far from over. The entrance glowed faintly, and Eli could sense the alien intelligence embedded in the walls. The device pulsed in his hands, reacting to the nearby intruders, almost as if it understood the threat. Liara guided Eli to a control panel on the structure. "We need to access the final messages," she said. "It may give us the instructions to fully secure the device." Eli connected his device to the structure's interface. The glowing lines of energy intertwined, forming complex patterns that required careful attention. He focused, using both logic and intuition. Slowly, he began to decode the instructions. Suddenly, the rogue faction appeared at the entrance. They moved with dangerous speed, their expressions unreadable. Eli and Liara stood firm. "We will not let you take this," Liara said, her voice strong and unwavering. The intruders paused, surprised by their determination. One of them, taller than the rest, spoke in a harsh tone. "Step aside. The device belongs to us now." Eli's mind raced. He realized that force alone would not work. The intruders were skilled and prepared, but humans had a different strength, the ability to think creatively under pressure. He activated a sequence on the device, sending a wave of light across the structure. The intruders stepped back, shielding their eyes. Eli and Liara used the moment to activate protective shields embedded in the structure, separating them from the intruders. Liara's eyes widened in admiration. "Eli, your solution. It worked." He nodded, breathless. "Sometimes you have to think differently. They expect direct action, but humans, we find another way." The intruders recovered quickly, and the confrontation escalated. Eli realized they needed more than just defense. They needed to communicate the device's true purpose. He accessed the holographic interface and activated the final message left by Liara's husband. A projection filled the plateau, showing a vision of peace, unity, and cooperation between species. The rogue faction watched in stunned silence. The message was clear. The device was not for domination. It was a tool to foster understanding, to create solutions, and to protect life. Slowly, some of the intruders lowered their weapons, realizing the truth. Eli's heart pounded. This was not only a test of technology, but a test of morality. Humans had a perspective that could inspire change, not through strength, but through clarity and integrity. Liara stepped closer to Eli. "You've done more than decode the device," she said softly. "You've shown them what humans can bring to the galaxy: courage, intelligence, and compassion." Eli looked at the intruders, some of whom were now visibly reconsidering their intentions. "It's not about control," he said. "It's about making the right choice. That's something humans can do, and maybe something we can teach others." The leader of the rogue faction finally spoke, his voice softer. We understand now. Your perspective, it is different. Perhaps we were wrong." Liara smiled faintly, hope shining in her eyes. It is never too late to choose the right path. Eli felt a rush of relief, but he knew this was only the beginning. There were still secrets to uncover, still parts of the device to understand, and still challenges ahead. But for now, they had succeeded in preventing disaster. The structure responded to the intruder's change of heart. Panels shifted and the final instructions were revealed. The device could now be fully secured, with safeguards that ensured only those with integrity and wisdom could use it. Eli worked quickly, following the instructions. Liara assisted, guiding him through alien symbols and sequences. The process required precision, patience, and focus. But with each step, the device became safer, its power protected from misuse. Finally, as dawn broke over the plateau, Eli stepped back. The device was fully secured. The rogue faction had been persuaded to reconsider, and the message of peace and cooperation had been sent. Liara looked at Eli, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You have done what few could. You have protected my husband's legacy, saved countless lives, and shown the galaxy the strength of humans." Eli felt a quiet pride. He had started as a simple mechanic, a man who repaired broken machines. Now he had become a protector, a problem solver, and an example of human ingenuity. But the experience had also changed him. He realized that humans were not only capable of adapting and surviving, they could inspire, lead, and make choices that shaped the future. That was what made them extraordinary. Liara turned to the rogue faction, who now stood silently, reflecting on the holographic message. "This is a new beginning," she said. "For all of us, for humans, for aliens, for cooperation and understanding." Eli looked at the device, now glowing softly, its secrets unlocked and its power contained. He felt a sense of accomplishment, but also a sense of purpose. There were still challenges ahead, still lessons to learn, and still work to do. But for the first time, he felt ready to face them. The plateau was quiet once more, the twin suns rising to illuminate the rocky landscape. Eli and Liara stood together, a human and an alien, united by purpose and trust. They had faced danger, used ingenuity, and made choices that proved humans could rise above fear and challenge. Eli realized that this mission was more than saving a device. It was proving that humans could stand as equals, partners, and leaders in the galaxy. And as the first rays of sunlight touched the plateau, he felt a sense of hope and determination that would guide him through whatever came next. The adventure was far from over, but for now the immediate danger had passed. The rogue faction had been stopped, and Eli had shown that human courage, creativity, and morality could make a difference. Liara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you, Eli, for everything. Today, you have proven that humans can rise to any challenge, and that is something we will never forget." Eli smiled, looking at the glowing device, at Liara, and at the horizon. "We did it together," he said, "and we'll keep doing it. For them, for everyone, The plateau shimmered in the morning light, calm yet alive with possibility. Eli knew the next steps would be even more demanding, but he also knew that humans had a power that no technology alone could match. The power to think, to create, and to make the right choice even in the face of danger. And with that thought, Eli prepared for the next stage of their mission, ready to face whatever challenges awaited. The galaxy was vast, the stakes were high, but humans were capable of greatness, and Eli would continue to prove it, one step at a time. The plateau was quiet after the confrontation. The rogue faction had been stopped, the device was secured, and the messages left by Liara's late husband had been fully decoded. For Eli, the sense of relief was immense, but it was also mixed. With anticipation, he knew this was not the end of their mission. Liara turned to him, her expression calm but serious. The device is protected, but there is still more to do. We must return it to a secure location and ensure that both humans and aliens can benefit from its knowledge, without risking misuse. Eli nodded. His hands still tingled from the excitement of the previous day, but he felt ready. Then let's do it. We've come this far. We can't stop now. They carefully packed the device, securing it inside a reinforced case. Eli's careful engineering and human ingenuity had already made it nearly impossible for anyone to tamper with it. Liara added her own alien safeguards, combining their skills for maximum protection. As they began the journey back toward the colony, Eli noticed the way Liara moved, alert, focused, but also relieved. "You've done more than protect the device," she said softly. "You've shown that humans can be trusted allies in ways that no one imagined." Eli smiled faintly. "I just did what I had to do. But it feels good to know humans can make a difference." The journey was long. They navigated rocky paths, narrow ridges, and hidden trails to avoid any remaining followers. Along the way, Eli and Liara shared stories, not just about the mission, but about their lives. Eli talked about his simple life as a mechanic, and Liara shared memories of her husband and the hopes she held for her people. Eli realized something important. Courage and intelligence were not just about solving problems. They were about understanding, empathy, and trust. Humans had a unique ability to connect, to inspire, and to find solutions where others saw only obstacles. As they reached the edge of the colony, Liara paused. "There is one final step," she said. "We must present the device to the council and ensure they understand its purpose. Only then can it truly be safe." Eli nodded. He had never been to a council meeting, but he understood the importance. They walked to the center of the settlement where the council, a group of humans and aliens, was waiting. Liara spoke first, explaining the situation, the rogue faction, and the device's potential. Eli added his perspective, describing how the device responded to thought, intention, and morality. He demonstrated the protective measures they had put in place and explained how the device could be used safely to benefit both species. The council members listened intently, impressed, not only by the technology but also by Eli's insight. They realized that humans were not just capable of adapting. They could innovate, think creatively, and act with wisdom in ways that even aliens could not. One council member, an elder alien with shimmering silver skin, spoke. "It is clear that humans possess qualities that are invaluable. Courage, creativity, and integrity. These traits have ensured the safety of this device and the harmony of our peoples." Eli felt a swell of pride. He had started as a simple mechanic, never expecting to be in a position of influence or responsibility. Now, he had helped secure the future of both humans and aliens, proving that ingenuity and morality could change the course of events. Liara smiled, her eyes reflecting gratitude and hope. "Eli, your actions have shown that humans can be trusted, respected, and admired. You have not only protected the device, but you have also strengthened the bond between our species." Eli nodded, feeling the weight of her words. It was more than recognition. It was validation of everything humans could achieve. Their courage, creativity, and sense of responsibility were what made them special. The council voted unanimously to secure the device in a joint human-alien research facility, accessible only to those who demonstrated integrity and wisdom. Eli and Liara oversaw the transfer, ensuring every safeguard was in place. Once the device was safely stored, Eli stepped outside into the evening air. The twin moons of New Horizon glowed softly, casting silver light over the colony. He felt a sense of accomplishment, but also a sense of calm. The danger had passed and the device was safe. Liara joined him, her expression gentle. "You've done more than I could have hoped, Eli. My husband's work is protected and our people have learned the value of trust and cooperation. Thanks to you, the future is brighter." Eli looked at her, realizing how much he had grown. He had faced unknown technology, navigated danger, and used his human ingenuity to overcome challenges. And in the process, he had built a partnership based on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. "I couldn't have done it alone," Eli said. "Your guidance and knowledge were just as important. Together, we made this happen." Liara smiled, a warmth in her eyes. "Yes? Together." In the following days, life on the colony began to return to normal. Eli resumed his work as a mechanic, fixing machines and helping the settlement run smoothly. But he was no longer the same man. He carried a sense of purpose and confidence that came from knowing humans could rise to challenges far greater than they had imagined. Liara continued her work with her people, helping to foster cooperation and understanding between humans and aliens. She often visited Eli, sharing insights, updates, and sometimes just enjoying the quiet moments of friendship. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the mountains, Eli and Liara stood side by side, looking at the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and challenges, but Eli knew that humans had a place in it. Their courage, creativity, and ability to make the right choice could shape the future in ways no one could predict. "Do you think there will be more challenges?" Eli asked, a small smile on his face. Liara looked at him, her expression thoughtful. "There will always be challenges, but now, humans and aliens can face them together. And with people like you, Eli, I have no doubt we will succeed." Eli felt a sense of pride and excitement. The adventure had changed him, but it had also shown him the value of courage, intelligence, and cooperation. Humans were capable of greatness, and he had proof in what they had accomplished. As they walked back toward the colony, the air was filled with the soft hum of machinery and the gentle rustle of the wind. Life on New Horizon continued, peaceful but alive with possibility. Eli knew that this was only the beginning of new adventures, new discoveries, and new opportunities to prove the strength of humans. He looked at Liara, and she smiled, understanding the unspoken bond between them. They had faced danger, unlocked secrets, and safeguarded knowledge that could change the galaxy. And in the process, they had learned something important. Humans, with their courage, creativity, and morality, could achieve what others thought impossible. Eli took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill his lungs. For the first time in his life, he understood the full meaning of human potential. It was not just about surviving, not just about intelligence. It was about using that intelligence with courage, compassion, and determination. Liara placed a hand on his shoulder. "You've shown the galaxy what humans can do, Eli, and that is something no one can ever take away." Eli smiled, feeling both humility and pride. "Then let's keep showing them," he said. "One step at a time." The twin moons rose, higher in the sky, casting silver light over the plateau. The device was secure, the rogue faction was pacified, and the council had approved the safeguards. Peace had been restored, and a new era of cooperation between humans and aliens had begun. Eli realized that his quiet life had changed forever. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was a protector, a problem solver, and a symbol of human potential. And he knew that whatever challenges the galaxy held, humans were ready to face them, with courage, creativity, and heart. The adventure had ended, but the journey was just beginning. And as Eli looked at the stars, he felt a spark of excitement. Knowing that humans had a place in the galaxy, not just to survive but to shine.